Hello comrades, the Honey Badger here with yet another guide. This time we're going to discuss waste and waste processing in your republic. As always, in the description and the play bar, you're going to find all of the topics of the video. Let's kickstart things with the research needed. Firstly, when it comes to industry, sorting the garbage produced by the industry itself, it's done automatically with absolutely no research needed to be unlocked. In 1934, you can start the studies to process and recycle garbage. However, this one does not unlock anything related to your processing. Then in 35, you will be able to research waste separation, which unlocks a useless building called general separation. Afterwards, in the following years, between 1938 and 1941, you will be able to unlock buildings which will allow you to recycle aluminium, steel, plastics, and general separation. Another set of useless buildings. Then in 1959, a gimmick will be unlocked, namely the incinerator as a power plant and the incinerator as a heating plant. From my point of view, I've used the electrical power plant as an incinerator. It's more of a gimmick. It might be useful in some situations, but I did not discover them by myself until now. Also, in 1959, you will be able to research waste separation education, so your citizens will able to separate metals from electronics, plastics from electronics, and biomass from eating bananas all day. This special research that is done in 1959 will completely make waste separation useless and over complicated with absolutely no reason, because all the thing that the waste separation will do by itself is to separate the garbage that is mixed together with everything in separate things. Now let's try to understand how garbage works overall. You have a technical services office over here. This technical services office can specify a source or a building where to deliver all of the garbage from the surrounding area. The working range currently is 1000 meters. Basically, it's enough to cover the city without covering other things like the industries or stuff like that. You can set up either a big transfer station from over here, transfer station garbage containers large, or a small one, and they will deliver it over here. Or if you want to be a sadistic motherfucker, then just simply specify everything at the border directly. Doing this will allow your trucks at the technical office to grab the garbage from each individual building or from the garbage stands themselves, be it small or big, and deliver them to the customs house. The sad reality over here is that the trucks will take such a long time to deliver everything to the customs house that your population will die covered in garbage. Therefore, the best thing to do is to assign everything to a single big transfer storage. Of course, the big transfer storage over here only has 2 slots. If things get too crowded, there will be a line forming over here for your trucks. Therefore, the best thing that you can do is to actually build a road cargo station. To this road cargo station, you can also include multiple garbage stands connected all together in series. Basically, if your city is huge enough, like 25,000 citizens in a single area, then you're gonna need a second transfer station for big garbage over here, so it handles all the waste. Now, with that out of the way, let's explain how the picking up of the said garbage works. Well, each individual building you have, be it residential, shops, or industries, will have an internal garbage storage. The garbage storage, the internal storage, is abysmally small. Literally, you have only 120 kilos of garbage for each individual building that you have. Similar to the hospital. Again, 120 tons, that's not a huge amount. Your trucks will spend time going from the technical services office to each individual building to pick up all the garbage. In the meantime, the garbage will accumulate and your citizens will complain about pollution. Therefore, to help alleviate this problem, you got two types of containers. They are very confusing because someone decided to name them stand for small garbage containers, small. Stand for big for small garbage containers, large. Interesting naming. Then you got stand for big garbage containers, small, and stand for big garbage containers, large. I don't know who was in charge in naming, but let's get over it and let's call it like this. The big garbage containers, I will call them industrial containers the whole video. The small garbage containers, I will call them the civilian or city containers. Now let's check a bit the city. Basically, in the city, you will be able to place these small garbage containers with absolutely no problems between the buildings. So, all of the buildings surrounding this area will have access to this said stand for small garbage containers. The more buildings you are covering, the better the solution you're going to have. And depending on the road you have, the garbage containers reach will be different. A mud road will be able around 62 meters to be placed. When it comes to a gravel footpath, the maximum range is somewhere around 109 meters. When it comes to asphalt with foot lamps, this gets changed to the maximum allowed of 124 or 125 meters total. Therefore, make sure that all of your garbage containers are placed where you have access either to pedestrian brick footpaths or asphalt footpaths with lamps or asphalt roads by themselves. The asphalt road will have a maximum of 100 meters when it comes to garbage container stands access. Moreover, you got access to two types of garbage containers as mentioned, the civilian one and the industrial one. Although I call them civilian and industrial, these are fully interchangeable. No one will complain about garbage being collected directly in an industrial garbage container area in the city limits themselves. Also, no one will complain about collecting garbage in the small citizen garbage containers when it comes to industries. The only difference between the two types of garbage containers are their sizing and also their way they are placed. Basically, the industrial garbage containers only have road access. They do not have any pedestrian roadway system. The small garbage containers, the city ones, they have footpath access. In this case, such scenarios like these, where you can place a garbage container directly in the middle of your city, is totally possible. Moreover, another difference between the stand for small garbage containers and the stand for industrial containers is the vehicles that are picking up the garbage from said locations. When it comes for city containers, like these over here, these will be picked up by waste trucks that can handle small container loading. We can see it under features over here. These vehicles range in size. The lowest one that I found was 1.5 tons. The highest one that I found was 10 tons, the US version. When it comes to selecting what type of vehicle you want to use, it's up to your decision. Either use many small versions with very low amounts of storage, or just a few big versions. Basically, if you don't have an overpopulated area with garbage trucks, then the garbage trucks will have absolutely no problem going to a small container like this, picking up the entire garbage, and then going to yet another container around here to pick up the garbage from that said container too. It's up to you how you decide. Do you want many vehicles with zero possibility for pollution, or do you want just 1 or 2 garbage trucks for the entire Republic with some chances that you might get pollutions here and there? When it comes to industrial big garbage containers, these can only be picked by waste trucks that have the feature large container platform. All of them will have an industrial container on their back. In terms of storage, these vehicles do not have any differences. The only difference is with the maximum speed. The maximum speed preferably to be 80 kilometers. This is the maximum we can get. So until now we have explained how to move garbage from your city and industries to a transfer station, but we did not explain how to get the garbage from the transfer station to the location where you are processing the garbage or to the customs house themselves. In order to do that, you have 2 options. The first option involves picking up a single big garbage container vehicle and creating a custom line. Go either to the big garbage transfer station by itself or to the road transfer station connected to the said garbage location. Pick up, load everything, and then simply unload it directly to the customs house themselves or to your waste industry wherever it's being processed. Moving onwards, let's discuss the types of wastes available for you to filter out either in your small garbage cans or in your industrial area. But a warning firstly. I could start enumerating every single type of building for every single type of waste it produces. I can start stating that the gravel industry produces construction material, that the steel industry produces metal scrap, that the iron processing plant and the iron mine will produce metal scrap, but you will just store this in the short memory of your brain. And after the video, after 10 minutes, you're gonna completely forget about it. Therefore, I am going to tell you to allow a single garbage stand to be filled with all of the needed materials that the said industry will produce. As we can see over here, a single storage of mixed waste. We're gonna explain mixed waste soon, don't worry about it, but the composition of it. You're gonna see that it has biological waste, burnable waste, and other waste. Out of these, only biological waste is available in here. Therefore, we are going to set up a few garbage cans of biological waste. Now, the biological waste, instead of going directly to the garbage can itself, it will instead go to the cans dedicated to biological waste. Similarly, if I start this industry and allow some people to come in and start working at it, you're going to notice that the garbage cans will also fill in with other stuff. Namely, it will fill in with metal scrap, with plastics, and with biological waste. The way I have been able to filter these out is by checking the mixed waste over here. Similarly, in your city, just check the mixed waste composition. For example, over here we got metal scrap 5%, plastic waste, biological waste, burnable, etc. Then, for metal scrap, set for example 3 of them. For plastic waste, set another 3 of them. For biological waste, yet another 3 of them. And that's how you will be able to cover all of the waste. Be very careful. If the waste over here is already full, each time you're going to switch from plastic waste to biological waste, for example, only the empty containers will be changed. This trick is available to both industries and in your city. Check what's the mixed waste composition and you will be able to sort the garbage out. Be very careful. Sorting in this city by your citizens is only possible with the research from 1959. With the sorting out of the way, let's start discussing about each type of waste your republic will produce. Let's start firstly with the pure waste. La crème de la crème of the waste, namely metal scrap, aluminium scrap, and construction waste. The industries that produce these type of waste will fill up their respective container. Then you can use a waste vehicle to transport the said waste to places. The reasoning that I have grouped together all of these 3 types of waste is because all 3 of them, construction, metal, and aluminium scrap, are aggregates. All of these can be stored in an aggregate storage. Basically, your technical services for construction waste, for metal scrap and aluminium scrap, can have assigned the aggregate storage as a location where they can drop off the garbage. Afterwards, being an aggregate, it means that your dumper vehicles or your railway that contains dumper cars will be able to pick up the aggregate directly from the storage and deliver it to wherever it's necessary. Moreover, when it comes to recycling each individual type of waste like these, I highly recommend that the place you are recycling it is also the place where this basic resource is being produced. Let's see a few examples. This is the industry layout for the gravel industry. As you can see, I do have a gravel recycling plant directly connected to the aggregate storage that stores the gravel. All of the construction waste can be either transported over here by the train aggregate unloading, which will transfer the construction waste into this aggregate storage in order to be processed by the gravel plant, or via the trucks, they can transport it directly to the small aggregate storage with absolutely no problems. When it comes to industries that have a side production of construction waste, for example, the coal industry by itself will be able to produce construction waste. I have set up my technical services to deliver the construction waste directly to the small aggregate storage over here. This construction waste then will be picked up by a train over here and delivered either to the customs house to be sold if I don't have the gravel industry yet built, or directly to the gravel industry to be processed into gravel. There's absolutely no reason for me to hire extra workers and have an extra recycling plant and an extra logic of gravel directly over here implemented in the coal industry. Same thing is for iron when it comes to metal scrap. And whilst we are on the topic of metal scrap, all of the metal scrap from the iron industry and the steel industry by itself, it's set up to be delivered either to the train aggregate unloading from my steel industry layout or directly to the aggregate storage from my steel industry layout. Then it is processed by the steel recycling plant and it produces steel. As for aluminium, same identical stuff happens to aluminium. I am processing the aluminium scrap directly into an aggregate storage, also connected to a train aggregate unloading, and also all of the aluminium scrap is directly processed by the aluminium recycling plant and then delivered directly to the open storage, where I also store the aluminium produced by the aluminium plant. There's absolutely no reason for you to have a single location where you are filtering everything in order to get the required resources. As it can be seen here, the aggregate storage will store aluminium. Now, you might be tempted to contradict me here, and by all means, do so. However, let's give a spoiler of what's ahead and calculate a bit the profits from actually importing the waste and recycling it, like India or Pakistan or other countries that do handle the waste we are producing daily. Let's go to economy and trade and check out a bit the aluminium scrap itself. We are going to see that in order to buy a ton of aluminium scrap, we're going to need almost $500. As it can be seen, in order to produce 12 tons of aluminium from recycling, you're going to need 25 tons of aluminium scrap. So each ton of aluminium is equal to somewhere around 2 tons or so of aluminium scrap. If we're gonna check the economy and trade, the aluminium scrap over here, the buying price is already almost $500. In order to actually produce the aluminium itself by recycling, you're going to need 1,000 rubles worth of aluminium. These 1,000 rubles worth of aluminium will produce a single ton of aluminium. 1 ton of aluminium is already $878. You're losing money by recycling someone else's trash. It's better if you recycle your own trash, or even better than this, if you don't have the industry yet built, simply sell it for a profit to the border. There's absolutely no reason for me to build an industry revolving around garbage. And this spoiler will continue on at the end of the video. Apart from the aggregate waste, we also have the plastic waste. This plastic waste can be stored in large open containers. For example, this open storage over here, the small one, can store 264 tons of plastic or 936 tons of plastic for the medium one. Again, the place where you're going to see me using plastic waste is at the electronics industry. This is where I am actually producing plastic by itself, and I will have an open storage small connected to my cargo train station, which will deliver plastic to it. Afterwards, the plastic goes into the plastic recycling plant, and afterwards it goes directly into the cargo train station, or I have a custom line that will deliver the plastic from the recycling plant directly to the warehouse. The next type of waste you will be producing in your republic is the biological waste. This waste is present in anything that has citizens involved. Residential buildings, industries that require citizens to work, shops because they require citizens to work, hospitals because they require citizens to work. You kind of get the gist. Basically, it's the bananas that your citizens eat daily. Now, there are other types of wastes, but we're gonna discuss it slightly later down the line. The last two types of wastes are mixed waste and hazardous waste. These two are garbage that it's mixed together in a soup that makes Ratatouille proud. Let's firstly start explaining the mixed waste. Basically, if you do not sort your garbage at all and you don't have dedicated containers for each type of waste, everything will be clumped together as a mixed waste. Every time you hover above a garbage container, as explained previously, you're going to see the composition of that waste. This simply gives you hints on how to actually sort your garbage. Everything that cannot be sorted will be either burnable waste or other waste. Basically, your end goal is to make sure that the mixed waste only contains burnable waste or other waste. These will be burned at your incinerator, which we're gonna discuss later down the line. In order to understand the mixed waste over here, let's give a practical example. Let's assume that this is a mythical garbage container that stores 100 tons of mixed waste. In the current screen that you're noticing over here, you're gonna see metal scrap is above 0%. In this scenario, it means that you have between 1 and 9 tons of metal scrap present in your garbage container. Then, plastic waste is also above 0%. That also means that you have between 1 and 9 tons of plastic waste. The biological waste is above 5%. This means that you have between 5 and 9 biological waste directly in this mixed waste container. Also, burnable waste is above 20%. That means it's between 20 and 29 tons of burnable waste. And the other waste is between 50 tons to 59 tons. Your goal is to make sure that only burnable waste and other waste is present within the mixed waste. Let's also discuss further about the hazardous waste. The hazardous waste over here is behaving just exactly like the mixed waste. The only difference between them is that the hazardous waste will taint all other resources you have. So for example, for this specific garbage can, we only have 15% hazardous waste. The rest is metal scrap, biological waste, burnable waste, and other waste. Basically, if we're gonna deliver this hazardous waste to a garbage filtering plant, you won't be able to separate the metal scrap, the biological waste, and the burnable and other waste until you don't filter all of that hazardous waste. Let's have this spin a minute and let's see how to actually filter out the hazardous waste. You have a factory for that. The factory is the waste treatment plant. Per day, it can process 7.5 tons of hazardous waste mixed. So basically, this is the total. Let's explain what this 7.5 tons means. Let's assume that this is again a mythical waste container. It contains exactly 7.5 tons of hazardous waste. This one over here, the green one. This 7.5 tons of hazardous waste actually only contains 15% hazardous waste. If we do a quick math, 15% of 7.5 tons is actually 1.1 tons of hazardous waste. This means that the waste treatment plant will be able to process this entire mythical container. Let's assume another example. Let's assume that this mythical container filled with 7.5 tons of hazardous waste contains above 75% hazardous waste. This is where the maximum treatment per workday kicks in. If it's 75, this means that the total hazardous waste we have somewhere around 5.62 tons of hazardous waste. But wait, the waste treatment plant will only be able to filter 3 tons per day from that 5.5 tons. So at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to purify the entire 7.5 tons of this mythical container. You are going to be able to purify only 3 tons of hazardous waste, and I don't know, somewhere around 75-ish maybe percent of everything. I'm not 100% sure. My brain is too fried to actually do the proper maths over here. What's guaranteed is that you're not going to process the entire 7.5 tons, you're going to process less. And truthfully speaking, does it really matter to have the math in place? Well, let's see over here. The incinerator that I have placed here is actually 1.8 kilometers away from my residential buildings. There's absolutely no reason for me to actually process the hazardous waste. Just chuck it in the fucking bucket, go with the hazardous waste directly to the incinerator and burn it over there. Ivan won't mind the smell, Ivan won't get sick because, well, he's living in the city, and there will be absolutely no problems in the industry. As long as you keep the incinerator 1 kilometer to 2 kilometers away from all your city buildings, there will not be any problem if you are gonna burn all the hazardous waste that you have. Whilst we are on the topic of incinerators, let's actually discuss about it. The incinerator takes mixed waste and burns it directly. It will produce ash as a byproduct. This ash, when stored on a dump with claw machine or an open storage related to dumps directly or to dumps with claw machines small, it will automatically start to dissolve. The dissolving rate is known, and to be honest, I was too lazy to find the value because the value does not matter by itself. Basically, all of the industries that I have explained until now have an incinerator if it's needed. This incinerator will produce the ash as mixed waste, and afterwards I have a distribution office that picks up all of the ash from the dump claw machine once it reaches a certain threshold, let's say 10%, and delivers it to the border directly in order to be sold at a profit loss. The profit loss for ash is incredibly small. In 1983, the ash will cost 6 rubles 82 in order to be delivered to the customs house. It's an incredibly small price to pay, and it guarantees that the incinerator will never block itself. Also, let's see what the processing efficiency over here means. Let's assume magically that we are delivering 100% of biological waste. This means 30 tons of mixed waste with pure biological stuff in it. In this scenario, 70% of that biological tonnage will be just burnt and turned into smoke, whilst 30% of that biological waste will be transformed in ash. Similar to fertilizer, if we're going to burn fertilizer, only 30% of the fertilizer will be transformed into smoke, whilst the rest will be transformed into ash. In regards to burnable stuff, that is usually in the mixed waste by itself, 100% of the burnable will be transferred to smoke. Nothing will remain out of the burnable. If you're gonna burn plastic waste, 80% of it will be burned in smoke, whilst 20% will be ashes. Similar thing happens to hazardous waste, only half of it gets burned and half transformed to ash, whilst other waste it's 80% burned and 20% transformed to ash. Now, another reasoning why I have mentioned the ash needs to be picked up from here is the way that we are going to build our incinerator. Now, as I've mentioned in regards to ash, we are going to pick it up from the claw machine to deliver it to the border. Let's see how to build a standalone incinerator that will be able to process the trash of your republic. Let's kickstart off things with a single incinerator. Usually, in most industries, apart from the chemical industry, a small incinerator will suffice. There are scenarios, like the chemical industry, where you're going to need to build either a large incinerator or start with the power plant or the heating incinerator. The power plant incinerator has the most amount of mixed waste to be processed in a single day. Therefore, let's start off with a small incinerator and place it right about here. The next thing that we're gonna need is a transfer for big garbage containers. Let's build it so it connects to our incinerator on one single side. The next thing that we want to build is a dump with claw machine. It can be small, it can be large, or it can be with railway. Usually by default I go with railway, but it's not mandatory. The only thing mandatory is that it connects to the incinerator in one of the factory spots. Afterwards, the next thing that we want to do is to play around with the transfer for big garbage containers. Over here, the incinerator, as we explained, it cannot process metal and aluminium or construction waste. Therefore, what I want to make sure is that neither metal, construction waste, or aluminium is being delivered over here. The way I am doing is to checkbox this mixed waste. Now, all of the containers of this transfer station are of type mixed waste. Here, manually, I can also set different waste types. For example, I want to store hazardous waste in 3 containers. Basically, all of the hazardous waste produced by my industry will be delivered by trucks over here. If you consider, for whatever reason, you need more than 3 garbage containers for hazardous waste, no one stops you to put 6 of them. 6 should be enough to handle all of your hazardous waste needs. Then I'm going to place 3 biological waste containers. Fertilizer, rarely I had the occasion to actually burn it. Usually I use it in my farming industry. Construction waste, as I've mentioned, it will not be processed by the incinerator itself. Metal scrap the same, and aluminium scrap the same. The only one being processed is plastic waste. So let's just place 3 more garbage containers for plastic waste. This is a proper setup that will allow you to burn everything needed in order to have the incinerator running without blocking itself. Moreover, as we notice, we are having a warning on the transfer for big garbage containers. Use one-way factory connections. It's important to be one-way. Therefore, we're gonna go to General Cargo, make factory connection, and make sure that all of the garbage from the big transfer station goes directly into the incinerator. The incinerator will process the garbage we have selected over here and then dump it in the dump with claw machine. Let's actually do that. There we go. Now the order of things: transfer station, incinerator, and dump with claw machine. There is also a problem with the claw with dump machine. If we are going to notice the trucks that are importing mixed waste from the border, this mixed waste by default is composed of different things, including aluminum scrap, metal scrap, and construction waste. All of these, if you're going to deliver them to the incinerator, the construction waste inside the mixed waste will not be processed. It will be pooped out directly in the dump with claw machine together with the ash. Now, as I've mentioned, the ash itself will decay in time, leaving you with just construction waste. Now, if that happens, then the dumper will automatically convert to only store construction waste, fully blocking your incinerator. Therefore, in order to prevent such scenarios from happening, make sure that your dump claw machine only stores mixed waste in it. This will force the construction waste that is being pooped out by the incinerator to be considered mixed waste. Let's see this in action. Let's tell this medium distribution office to start delivering things to the transfer big containers. And I'm going to shoot 2 birds with one single stone. I'm going to explain both how mixed waste works and also a realization about hazardous waste. Firstly, let's set the tone. In the pricing, when buying hazardous waste from the customs house, you're actually gaining 432 rubles. However, this is per pure ton of hazardous waste. We're going to see that in reality, the hazardous waste will contain other shenanigans in them. Let's make sure that over here we're going to unload just hazardous waste, and let's wait for a truck to start delivering over there. Let's see, is this guy delivering there? Yes, he is. Perfect. Let's closely watch this truck over here. He's going to go to the border, start picking up hazardous waste, and this hazardous waste, the 6.5 tons that it has inside, it's actually composed of metal scrap, aluminum scrap, plastic waste, biological waste, burnable waste, and only 15% hazardous waste. This means that from these 6.5 tons imported, you're actually having only 0.97 tons at minimum of hazardous waste in this truck. This means that instead of getting the full price of $432 per ton, which this truck, if it would have imported purely hazardous waste, you would have gotten somewhere around 6.5 tons times 432, somewhere around 2,808 rubles. However, in this scenario presented right now, you're actually getting 0.97 times 432, you're getting only 419 rubles by importing the hazardous waste. There was a meme at the moment where you could cheat the game by importing hazardous waste and into dumps or burning them directly. This has been long gone and long fixed. You won't be able to make a profit by actually importing the hazardous waste from the customs house and processing it into your own republic. And now we can see this truck happily going and transferring all of the stuff into the transfer station. There we go. Now the hazardous waste was placed into the containers. The incinerator already started processing the said hazardous waste, and it already started giving up mixed waste. This mixed waste is composed of ash, metal scraps, and aluminium scraps. Now, even if I stop the area over here and tell it to stop unloading and stop the incinerator from completely working, we're gonna see this ash starting to disappear the more time passes. As we can see here, because we have forced the mixed waste, the entire ash vanished from the dump with claw machine, and only mixed waste composed either of metal scrap and aluminium scrap will remain. If we wouldn't have this check mark and let's say only metal scrap was in here, automatically the dump would have accidentally converted to store only metal scrap in here. Now, in all my industry guides, each individual industry has an incinerator in it. However, it's not mandatory for the incinerator to be present for each individual industry. In my Siberia Done Right adventures, I have the oil refinery, which contains one oil refinery and 2 gas power plants, together with the engineering center, a badly built one, which processes electrical components into electronics and builds everything. It's similar to my electronics video. Go watch that one if you want a proper build. And also my automotive industry are all handling the garbage directly to this incinerator power plant over here. Basically, all of the trucks will deliver everything to this single transfer for big garbage. As you can see, this transfer for big garbage is completely empty because the incinerator will be able to handle everything with just 20 workers. Then I have a single rail line, most likely handled by a distribution center, that comes and picks up all of the mixed waste from here, which is composed of ash, metal scrap, and construction waste. All of these are delivered directly to the border, which is a way long over here, directly to here. Then all of the waste is sold to the border in very small amounts. The train leaves very rarely, maybe once a year or so, from the distribution office in order to grab all of the garbage collected into this dump with claw machine. Mostly it collects construction waste and metal scrap that I was too lazy to process. Well, lazy is a strong word because I don't have any steel industry yet built in Siberia done right. Therefore, a single incinerator with the same format. You got a transfer station going directly into the incinerator, then going directly into the dump with claw machine that has mixed waste selected over here. And to be honest, that's kind of all about the garbage industry. But wait, just don't go off in the comments section and start spamming me like some chuckleheads that I completely ignored and forgot about the separation plans and about the general separation industry and the layout for it. there's a reason I did not include it. And there's a reason why it's so badly built over here. Basically, the gravel recycling plant in this layout is not even connected to the road, whilst the others are fully connected. The reason is that there's absolutely no money to be made from importing garbage from the borders. I have over here set up 2 separate distribution offices that collect garbage from the customs house and deliver them to the recycling plants or to the general separation plants. The big problem that I'm having is that all of the mixed waste that I am importing from the border itself is composed by several things: metal scrap, aluminium, plastic, you name it. Similarly, I am importing metal scrap and also aluminium scrap directly to the border and then processing it into the recycling plants. I also left the game running for only half a year and I want to check the profits. Let's check the profits solely for the last month. If I'm going to go at import of resources and I'm going to ignore water, power, and alcohol, we can see over here that the total amount of resources imported is somewhere around 235,000 rubles. Now, when it comes to the export of the resources, basically the aluminium, steel, and plastics that we managed to recycle from what we bought from the customs house, we are going to notice that we have a 2019,000 rubles made as profits. Let's minus the actual cost of importing the goods, which was 235,000 rubles. We literally lost 15,000 rubles just to process someone else's trash. Therefore, from my point of view, it's not worth actually importing trash to process it in your republic. At most, process your own trash that is being created by the industries and your citizens. You might think about another reason. Oh, but I can have a centralized place where I process everything from my republic with no problem. Let's say that I want to process all of the mixed waste. I'm too lazy to set up the garbage containers there, just as you've shown me, just literally clicking some buttons over here and then just copy pasting this setup from this one directly to other places. You are too lazy to do this. You just want all of the mixed waste clumped up together and have the separation plant over here separated into metal, scrap, plastic waste, construction, etc., and then further process it. Well, oh boy, let me show you what actually happens when you do that. Allow me to explain the situation we are in currently. We have one of the tests when I was doing the gravel layout. Basically, this only gets gravel from the quarry, processes it in the processing plants, and then poops out the gravel. The whole garbage location over here is being handled without separating the construction waste from the other waste. This is also true for all of my garbage containers. So basically, my technical services simply get only the mixed waste, construction and burnable waste, and deliver it directly to the dump claw machine over here. What I have incoming currently is a train with 4 garbage wagons that it's going to pick up the garbage directly from here. And I'm going to leave it to deliver it to the customs house. Let's see how much time it will take this train to load itself with garbage and deliver it. This is at 3x speed, remember this. And that's kind of all about the garbage industries. Right now, I'll just leave it on the screen so you can see the downsides of actually having mixed waste instead of separating your industry garbage. And yeah, this is the outro, basically. Well, with that said, enjoy the view of the garbage, and thank you for watching. Thank you for these supporters who keep this channel alive. And I'm the Honey Badger, and I'll see you guys later.